Heavy D, the king of the Diesel brothers, was just arrested by federal marshals. His multi-million-dollar shop is now shut down, and the Brotherhood is gone. He finally revealed the real reason why, and it's a terrifying 9-year nightmare that ended with him in a jail cell. The truth is so much worse than you ever imagined. The mystery of the shutdown. It all started with a quiet, shocking video. After years of dominating TV, building monster trucks, and giving away everything, Heavy D, Dave Sparks, stood in his shop. But it was different. It was quiet. The machines were silent. He told his millions of fans that the Diesel Brothers shop, as they knew it, was shutting down. He was very clear. He said this was not a defeat. He called it freedom. He said he was choosing purpose over pressure. He was choosing family over fame. As he spoke, fans flooded the comments. They shared memories, their favorite builds, and they said goodbye. The community that came for the truck giveaways was now there to say thank you. The video ended simply. Heavy D stood there, surrounded by his tools, and said it was time to build what matters most. Not for the cameras, but for life. The screen faded to black, and a single line appeared. The Diesel era may be over, but Heavy D's story is just getting started. But what did it mean? Freedom from what? What kind of pressure gets so bad that it forces a man to walk away from a multi-million-dollar empire? What could be so bad that he would have to shut it all down? The answer isn't simple, and it's terrifying. It's a story that didn't start last week. It started 9 years ago, and it ends with Heavy D sitting in a jail cell. To understand why the shop is gone, we have to go back, all the way back to 2017. This is the year the pressure began. It didn't come from the government. It didn't come from the EPA. It came from a small local group in Utah. They were called the Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, or UPHE. This was a private group of doctors, and they had a very big problem with the Diesel Brothers. In 2016, the Diesel Brothers TV show premiered on the Discovery Channel. It was a massive hit. It averaged over 2 million viewers in its first season. People loved watching Heavy D, Diesel Dave, and the Muscle build these giant, insane trucks. But the doctors in Utah saw something different. They saw the one thing that made the show famous. Rolling coal. The show featured trucks being modified to create huge clouds of black smoke. The doctors' lawsuit said the Diesel Brothers were deliberately and systematically destroying pollution control equipment on these trucks. They filed a citizen enforcement action under the Clean Air Act. They accused Heavy D, Diesel Dave, Keaton Hoskins, and all their companies, Diesel Sellers, Diesel Power Gear, Sparks Motors, of breaking federal law. The doctors said this black smoke was one of the most toxic types of pollution there is. They said it was hurting the health of families and children all along the Wasatch Front in Utah. Heavy D and the team were at the height of their fame. They were TV stars. But that fame was a double-edged sword. The very thing that made them famous, the TV show, was now being used as evidence. It was a public record of them breaking the law. The lawsuit was filed. The battle had begun. But Heavy D and the team had a defense. They argued that these trucks were modified for off-road use only. They claimed it was all legal. They had no idea the doctors were building a secret case against them, and the evidence they found would be the first nail in the shop's coffin. The secret smoking gun truck. The doctors at UPHE knew they had to prove their case. They couldn't just point to the TV show. They needed hard evidence. So they did something that sounds like it's from a spy movie. They secretly bought one of the modified trucks from Sparks Motors. They didn't just look at it. They took this truck to an independent testing facility. They ran tests. They measured exactly what was coming out of that tailpipe, and the results were the smoking gun they needed. The tests were shocking. The truck, which had its emissions controls removed, produced 36 times more pollution than a normal stock truck. It produced 21 times more particulate matter. That's the tiny toxic soot that gets deep into your lungs. Some reports said the trucks were creating a 3,000% increase in pollution. This one truck blew Heavy D's entire defense out of the water. It didn't matter if it was meant for off-road use. The doctors had proved it was a disease-generating machine. With this evidence, the case was over. A federal judge, U.S. District Judge Robert Shelby, looked at the evidence. He looked at the test results from the secret truck. He looked at the videos of the trucks rolling coal. And he found the Diesel brothers guilty. The court ruled that the Diesel brothers had willfully violated the Clean Air Act more than 400 times. They had illegally removed pollution controls. They had installed illegal defeat devices. They had sold these illegal trucks and parts. This wasn't a game anymore. This was real. And in March 2020, Judge Shelby brought down the hammer. But it wasn't just a fine. It was something so much worse. It was a bill, a ticking time bomb, that would haunt Heavy D for the next 5 years and ultimately land him in jail. The judge was, in his own words, appalled by the Diesel brothers' behavior. He was angry that they seemed to be making a profit from it, so he ordered them to pay. The total fine was $851,450. Let's break that number down. $761,451 had to be paid to the U.S. government. Another $90,000 had to be paid to Davis County in Utah to help clean up the air the trucks had polluted. But that wasn't the terrifying part. That wasn't the part that would lead to the arrest. The judge also ruled that the Diesel brothers had to pay the doctor's attorney fees. Think about that. They had to pay the lawyers who had just beat them in court. And how much were those fees? The doctor's lawyers told the judge they were seeking $1.2 million. This is where the pressure Heavy D talked about really starts. Because the judge said something that should scare every celebrity. Judge Shelby wrote that the fines were so high because of their economic benefits. What does that mean? It means their status as television and social media celebrities. It means the reputation and notoriety of their brands. The judge was saying, you didn't just break the law. You used your fame to profit from breaking the law. You made it look cool. You built your brand on it. So you will pay more. This was a fame penalty. Suddenly, the Diesel brothers brand wasn't a blessing. It was a curse. It was a legal target. And this was just one of their problems. While they were fighting this public war with the doctors, a second massive legal battle was happening in secret. And this one was for $11.8 million. The $11.8 million secret. This is the part of the story almost no one talks about. This is the pile-on. While Heavy D was drowning in the pollution lawsuit, another company came after him. A much bigger company. The world-famous clothing brand, Diesel. In 2019, right in the middle of the UPHE case, the Diesel Clothing Company filed a massive lawsuit in New York. They sued Diesel Power Gear, Heavy D's company. The lawsuit claimed that the names Diesel Power Gear and Diesel Sellers were trademark infringement. They said it was confusing for customers. Heavy D was fighting a war on two fronts. And just like with the doctors, he lost. The court sided with the clothing brand. The judge said that Diesel Power Gear had acted with reckless disregard for Diesel's famous trademark. They knew about the Diesel brand and used the name anyway. The final judgment was mind-blowing. The court ordered Diesel Power Gear to pay $11.8 million in damages. Do you see what's happening? Do you see the pressure he talked about? He and his partners now owed over $850,000 for the pollution fine. They were on the hook for the doctor's lawyer fees, which had been upheld on appeal for $843,000. And now an $11.8 million judgment from the clothing brand. The Diesel brothers brand was toxic. Their name was now legally too expensive to use. And their actions, their builds, were also illegal. They were trapped. The walls were closing in from every side. The pressure was massive. And the brotherhood that built the entire empire began to crack. What happens when a brand becomes this toxic? People run. The Diesel Brothers TV show, which once had over 2 million viewers, just stopped. Fans kept asking online, what happened to the show? Was it canceled? The team tried to say it wasn't. But the new episodes, they just weren't coming. And the core cast, the brothers who weren't really brothers, they started to go their own ways. Look at Keaton Hoskins, the muscle. He was a huge part of the show. He was one of the main defendants in the lawsuit. He was also on the hook for those massive fines. So what is he doing now? He's getting out. He's building a whole new life. The Muscle has completely rebranded himself. He's now a personal trainer. He's an author. He runs a life coaching and mentorship program called the Limitless Society. He now gives talks where he speaks about his own troubled youth. He talks about his own jail time. He talks about how he transformed his life. He is actively, publicly distancing himself from the Diesel Brothers drama. He's building a new, positive brand. He is saving his own career. The Muscle was getting out. He was finding a new path. But Heavy D, he was digging in. He still owed that massive bill for the lawyer fees. The appeals court had looked at the case. They trimmed down some of the fines, but they upheld the lawyer fees. He still owed $843,000 to the doctor's lawyers. And Heavy D made a choice that would change everything. He just wasn't going to pay them. He had no idea what that choice would lead to. The arrest. This is the moment. This is the breaking point. This is the terrifying part of the story. Fast forward to October 2025. For years, Heavy D had not paid that $843,000 bill. The lawyers for UPHE kept taking him back to court. And for years, the court found him in contempt. Not once, repeatedly. A federal judge, the same Judge Robert J. Shelby, wrote a new order, and it was explosive. The judge wrote that David Sparks has repeatedly and willfully violated this court's orders. It wasn't just that he didn't pay. The court ordered him to turn over documents about his money. He didn't. The court ordered him not to sell his assets. But he held unauthorized sales of assets anyway. He was liquidating his shop, selling everything, and the court said he wasn't following the rules. The judge was done. He wrote that he had exhausted all other mechanisms to make Heavy D comply. So, on October 2, 2025, Judge Shelby issued a stunning command, a command you never want to see. He wrote, "The U.S. Marshal is hereby commanded to arrest and incarcerate Defendant Sparks." 5 days later, on October 7, 2025, it happened. Federal marshals showed up and took David Heavy D. Sparks into custody. The face of the Diesel Brothers, the man with 4.5 million YouTube subscribers, the star of a global TV show. He was arrested. He was booked into the Salt Lake County Jail. Later, Heavy D would tell his fans what happened next. He says they put him in solitary confinement for 3 days. This was the lowest point, the ultimate humiliation. The pressure had finally snapped. He was in jail. But when he got out 3 days later, he didn't come out quiet. He didn't come out defeated. He came out swinging. And this is the most terrifying part of the whole story. Heavy D's truth. Heavy D was released from jail after he finally agreed to provide the missing information to the court. He immediately went home, sat down in front of a camera, and recorded a video for his 4.5 million fans. The title was, "The Truth Is Out." And in this video, he told his side of the story. He said he was wrongfully jailed. He claimed he was vindicated. He insisted this was not a crime. He said it was just a civil matter. His lawyer went on Instagram and called it a paperwork dispute. Heavy D did not blame himself. He went on the attack. He blamed bad actors. He blamed zealous environmental doctors. He claimed these doctors and their lawyers had hijacked the Clean Air Act. He said they were twisting the law into personal profit machines. His lawyer, Cole Cannon, claimed the doctors' original lawsuit for $114 million was absurd. He said it was for just 20 trucks. Heavy D painted himself as the victim, as a hero. He said, "This was not about me refusing to pay money that I rightfully owed. This was about standing up to a broken system." He said he was refusing to be exploited. He told his side of the story. His millions of fans heard him. They believed him. They were angry. They were ready to fight for him. And what happened next? This is the real terrifying reason he had to shut it all down. The story should have ended there, but it didn't. The doctors at UPHE, the zealous lawyers he attacked, they heard his video. They saw the things he was saying, and they issued their own response. And their statement, it's chilling. The doctors said that Heavy D's truth video was full of misleading and inflammatory public statements. And they said that because of his video, his fans, his followers, started to attack them, not just with mean comments. It was much, much worse. UPHE said their staff and their families received an onslaught of vitriolic, vulgar harassment. It gets darker. The doctors said they received thinly veiled threats of violence. These threats were not just sent to the UPHE office. They were sent to the doctors. They were sent to their uninvolved families. They were even sent to the hospitals where these doctors work. It got so bad, they said, that multiple local police departments had to get involved to protect them. And the biggest twist? Heavy D called them profit machines. But the doctors said their attorneys are volunteers. They said their lawyers do not receive any financial compensation for their work on this case. This is the terrifying part. Heavy D used his fame, his 4.5 million subscribers, as a weapon. He tried to win in the court of public opinion, and it backfired horribly. He is now being publicly accused of inciting real-world harassment. He is being accused of causing threats of violence against doctors and their children. This is a public relations nightmare he can never come back from. He is no longer just a diesel brother. In the eyes of his critics, he is a man who used his celebrity to endanger the families of volunteer doctors. That is terrifying. Now, let's go back to that first video, the shutdown announcement. His word, pressure. His other word, purpose. Does it all make sense now? The real reason he shut it down, Heavy D said he was shutting down the shop for freedom. Now we know exactly what he meant. It was freedom from the $11.8 million trademark debt that was hanging over his head. It was freedom from the $843,000 in lawyer fees that he refused to pay. It was freedom from the 9-year legal nightmare that would not end. It was freedom from the Diesel Brothers brand, a brand that was now completely toxic. A brand so toxic it was costing him millions. A brand so toxic it fractured his team and the muscle left. A brand so toxic it got him thrown in jail. And finally, it was freedom from the terrifying public war he started. Freedom from the accusations that he was inciting violence against doctors and their families. The pressure wasn't just fame. The pressure was everything. The shutdown, the big shop sale. It wasn't a choice. It was the only move he had left. He had to kill the Diesel Brothers brand to pay his debts and save himself. The Diesel era may be over. But Heavy D's personal war is just getting started. He's not just running away from the shop, he's fighting back, but in a brand new arena. This is Heavy D's new life. He's not just a TV star. He's not just a builder. He's a political fighter. In his truth video, he didn't just complain. He announced his new purpose. He told his fans that he is pushing for real change in the law. He is now publicly backing a new political bill. It's called the Diesel Truck Liberation Act of 2025. This bill was introduced in the Senate by Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis. And what does this bill do? It would prohibit the government from enforcing the very emission laws that got him in trouble. It would make the Clean Air Act, the law that destroyed his shop, powerless. This is his new mission. He couldn't win the battle in court. He lost the battle in the press. So now he is trying to change the law itself. He is turning his greatest failure into his new brand. He's not Heavy D, the Diesel brother. He's Dave Sparks, the freedom fighter. So Heavy D didn't shut down the Diesel Brothers shop just because he was tired of fame. He shut it down because a 9-year war full of crippling lawsuits, millions in debt, and a humiliating arrest made it impossible to go on. The terrifying reason wasn't one thing, it was everything. It was a war he lost, so he was forced to abandon the Diesel Brothers name forever and start a new fight.